Hey, it's Trueflight here. We're back again in the crew. This time we're going to be taking out a performance spec Lotus Exige. This is probably my favorite performance car right now. It's a mid-engine, rear-wheel drive, tons of acceleration and cornering. Not the best top speed, but we're going to be doing the way to Amarillo this time. It's a faction mission race from the Florida Keys to Amarillo, Texas. Been having some issues with my recording software lately, trying to record these longer races. After 10 minutes or so, they tend to get really choppy. Got a different program running this time. We're going to see if that makes a difference, and hopefully we can get this one uploaded for you. This is kind of a fun race. We start down here in the Florida Keys at dusk, and we're going to race throughout the night to Amarillo, Texas. We don't take the easy way up the west coast of Florida and then across. We're going to go up the east coast and then across, which makes it a little bit longer trip. But a nice mix of some tight turns here and there combined with long stretches of open highway, which are fun. Usually I can run this track without wrecking, but it seems to be every time I record I end up getting in some terrible accidents, so we'll see if we can't get some of them on video for you and you can all laugh at me. Absolutely love the acceleration on this car. That was almost bad. Thing tends to get a little bit of air off even the slightest bump because it is so light. There's a spot coming up here in a little bit. Oh, that's almost bad. We're going to get onto a two-lane divided highway bridge to get back to the mainland. Right up here. It's not this first hill, it's like the second. I think it is this first one. That's not bad. Usually one wheel comes off the ground and the back end starts to fishtail because you're only getting traction with the one tire. Seem to have handled it pretty well that time around. There's a couple tight turns up here getting through the city that I end up wrecking on all the time. There's one of them. Doesn't help the road's wet right here. It's funny, we went from completely dry roads to completely wet roads and back to dry again. Gotta love Florida. It did stay kind of dark though. I don't know if that's the normal sun going down dark or if we're gonna hit some rain here. It's kind of a hazy look to it, so we get out of the city and out of this traffic, really open this thing up. We should have a little bit more traffic here, but nothing more major now that we're out of the city. Oh, barrels. That was almost bad. This is one of those you really need some friends and a crew to race against to have a lot of fun, though, because the computer's terrible. You're going to see how far ahead of them I get. Unless I do some terrible wrecks, we usually finish over a minute ahead of them here, so. Wet roads combined with turns and unlevel pavement. Not a good combination. Now we're going to get off the major highway here and do a little bit of... It's not really city driving, but not so much highway driving either. I say that as I'm getting on a 6-lane highway. This doesn't last very long. We are definitely going to hit some rain. This road's going to loop us up by Cape Canaveral. You get to see the shuttle launch pads. It's kind of neat. which are right up there. That big building's actually where they store the shuttles, and then they wheel them out to the launch pad from there. Maybe you can't actually see them from here, but you get to see the building. Bright sunset off to the west there. Gotta get a feel for how wet these roads are. They look a lot more slippery than they are right now. I'm not sure what highway this is, but I think I've been on this road in real life before. It goes up through North Carolina and South Carolina. Might be part of I-95. Stay on this long. Yeah, here we're gonna get off. We're gonna drive up the coastal strip here. I want to say this section here reminds me of South Carolina, like Myrtle Beach-ish area, but I don't think it actually has a name in game. This is like the hardest time of day to drive in the crew. Not to mention the roads are wet, so you get that weird glare, but the sun's just going down. Everybody else has their headlights on, but for some reason your headlights don't actually come on until it gets really dark. So this dusk twilight period here, as you're waiting for your headlights to come on, gets really hard to see, especially in this next section here. I'm going to go up over this bridge and then down into some woods. And while you're driving in that section, it's really hard to see the road. There's a lot of tight turns in here too. Yeah, through here. This is usually where it starts getting kind of choppy, and I'm not seeing it so bad, so I think our change to the new recording software has made a difference. Oh, now if I could only fix my driving. If that's the worst accident I have, I'll be happy. Again, when I do this when I'm not recording, I can do this whole race without hitting anything. It's kind of funny. You actually get a bonus for a clean run. But whenever I turn on that recorder, I undoubtedly run into something. This road here goes through two small towns. Well, it goes through multiple small towns, but there's two small towns where there's a, I don't know if you call it a shortcut. There's an alternate route. I find them quicker. The first one is very difficult to pull off, and it's one of the ones where I always end up wrecking when I'm trying to do it on recording. Even still, I think it's faster with wrecking than the suggested route they tell you to take through. So if you're just learning this run, you might already know about them. If you're just learning the run, though, they're a great trick to pull when you're playing with other people. Oh, that was terrible. First one's coming up here. They want you to get into this town. You got to make a 90-degree left here and then follow the road around. Instead of doing that, if you go through and take the next left, it's a straight shot right back out of town. Cuts out 2 or 3 little turns in there. I think it's much faster. Downside is you really have to slow down to make that 90-degree turn. I didn't have to because I just bounced off the guardrail like that. But it's easy to overshoot, and then you have to back up, and I am doing terrible again. I never claimed to be a great driver. I just enjoy the game. Some of these blind corners are terrible. Slow down! I don't think there ain't much left of my car by the end of these races if these were more realistic. The road really needs to dry up so we don't get that glare off the moon. It's not always like this. It's one of those random weather things. There's a couple hard to see turns coming up here. Cut that one a little early. Another little section up here with some hard to see turns because of the darkness. We do have our headlights now, which help. A little bit anyway. This one up here, I think it's this next one. I always misjudge. That tree goes on your left, if I recall. And there's this, and then there's a hard left right there. It's the one I always overshoot. Or hard right, I'm sorry. See, that's why I overshoot it. My brain's thinking it's the other direction. Now we're going to go up over an overpass, a hard left down to the on-ramp and actually get on the highway. You can't see this turn if you're not looking at the map till you come over the top of the bridge, and then it's too late to brake at that point. It's one of those you really got to pay attention to. Took a barrel out. I got a decent section of open highway here to just really put the foot down, and you can get this car cruising at about 230. Had it up to 250 or so with nitrous, but it doesn't stay that speed. Right around 230 is where it stays. Oh, we're going to take this off ramp. Now we got a long straightaway through some marshy land with these cool overhanging trees. Love this section of road. I think this stretch right through here is also in the Big D. If you have a car with a high top end right here, you can really pull away from other players if you're racing. It's where you wish you had a circuit spec to get that extra 20-30 miles an hour out of it. Somewhere up here, should be coming up quick, we're going to take a exit. It's a hard braking exit. Yep, there it is. Really have to slow down for that. It comes up quicker than you expect. Hard right here, and we go through a little town. And there's a 90-degree turn at the gas station up here. Good to keep landmarks like that in your mind so you can see it. You see the sign up there for the gas station. You know it's coming, and I still overshot. Normally you can cut across the other lane right there, but there's traffic coming. And coming up here is probably the hardest turn in the whole race. And every time I do this multiplayer, I'm trying to go too fast, and I miss it. You start decelerating on this uphill. Oh, and I'm going to go around that guy to make this hard left. As terrible as I made it. If you don't, you get air off that hill, and you can't turn because you're in the air, and you fly off into the field, and it takes forever to turn around and get back to the road to make that checkpoint. We got some more winding two-way road here for a little while, and then we're going to come to that other little town I was telling you earlier that there's a alternate route in. This one I definitely think the alternate route is faster. It's up farther than I thought it was. I know it's coming up here soon. This turn here is always sharper than it looks. Whoa. Sure, most of my wrecks are caused by traffic. Try to move out of the oncoming lane and overcompensate. I think this one up here is the one I was meant to say is the one that's sharper than it looks. Maybe not. This is the town coming up here. So what you want to do is stay in this right-hand lane, go through this, and immediately brake and take a hard right onto this ramp, which will line you straight up with the road. You gotta watch though, because there's sometimes cars in that lane, and because of the big chevron arrows telling you to turn, it's really hard to see their brake lights. But definitely much quicker than going the way that they suggest. The road's finally dry. Hard turn there. That's the last hard turn like that we have on this race. The majority of the rest of the race, though, is going to be this two-lane winding road. The turns in it aren't too sharp, but there are several that you're going to have to slow down for, like this one coming up here. Well, I guess it's pretty sharp, actually. I think there's one more big 90-degreer like that, now that I'm thinking about it. And it's right before the final stretch. Oh, there's that one too. I'm going to cut that one short. Turned a little too early. Forgot about that one. We're going to go through another little town here. Coming out of this town, you see that cross up there for the church at the end. It's always my reminder to brake for this turn here. Otherwise, you end up way out in that field. I've actually ended up way over on the highway before, because once you hit that dirt, you cannot turn. Couple more medium turns in here. Oh. You can see the finish line, but it's not as close as you think. This is another one that really sucks. You're going to go over this train tracks here. It's kind of a blind corner. There's always traffic. And this one's sometimes, depending how fast you're going, sharper than you would think. And then it's a straight shot from there to the finish. There you are. Definitely noticed a major difference using this recording software, so I think we're going to stick with this as long as the other levels sound out okay, but doesn't seem to have the frame rate drop off that the old program did that was preventing me from doing these longer races. Well, that's it for the way to Amarillo. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave me a thing down in the comments. Let me know what kind of events you want me to do, what kind of cars you'd like to see, what specs, and I'll do my best to do whatever you guys are looking for. I have every car out there that is not a premium, and even some of the premium ones as well. Trying to get the cops to chase me. But yep, leave me a message down there in the comments, and I'll get back to you, and we'll see you in the next video.